Hey, hey, happy Tuesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, incredibly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Tuesday, August 15th, 2023. This is live stream 951. This is your first time joining me. Let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And normally we take a first look at a tabletop game. Every once in a while, I'll do a live review. But for the most part, we kind of take a peek at new games that are usually pretty fresh, pretty new. And that's what we're going to be doing tonight. We are going to dive on in, take a first look at Cyberpunk RED, the Danger Gal Dossier from our Talsorian Games. This was a Gen Con release, and we are going to take a look at this Cyberpunk RED faction book in just a bit. If you are tuning in live to check out the first look, do want to point out we tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it's probably going to be about 40 minutes before we dive on into the Danger Gal Dossier. So if you're watching live, kick back, relax, put your feet up. I know, yes, it's only Tuesday, but I'm sure you've already had a rough week. You're working hard. Be good to yourself. Now, if you are watching this 30 minutes or more after the stream has ended, well, then there will be timestamps. If you want to jump past the news, if you're impatient, you certainly can. And those timestamps will be located in the show notes. And depending on the device you might happen to be watching this on, could be right there in front of you in the timeline of the video. So there is that. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Finally, this is a live stream, so that means there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you have to be a subscriber to the channel for at least 48 hours before you can take part in chat. Yet another way that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, maybe you've got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. So first out the gate tonight is the Motor City Madman. Yes, the Madman is with us. He is one of our chat moderators. Stray Kismet is here. Viper Dave is in the house, as is Kevin R. Smith, and another of our chat moderators, Flaming Huron from across the pond, is hanging out. And I'll take a stab in the dark. We probably have another chat moderator, Sarah D, floating around as well. So welcome aboard, everybody. Got a jam-packed show ahead tonight. So I have a contest. You may have run across that over on Twitter. So over the weekend, I had a contest where whichever company got the most views for my Gen Con interview with them, I'm going to give away PDFs of recent releases to 3 lucky viewers. So I will reveal who the winner was. So Sarah D says, don't stab the dark. That's where I hide. All right, I promise I won't stab the dark. So we've got that. I promised last week that I would call out a game company that I will no longer be covering. So that's coming up in a little bit as well. Yes, I'm going to name names. So let's jump on into the news, because arriving in October from Portal Games is Imperial Miners. And here's the latest. Imperial Miners is a light engine building card game from the designer Tim Armstrong, in which players build their mines using a clever card activation system. This standalone game is set in the popular Imperial Settlers universe and offers beautiful illustrations, easy rules, and satisfying gameplay full of combos and synergies between the cards. In Imperial Miners, players build their own mines by playing cards to their tableau. They start from the ground floor and develop downward. Each time a card is added to the mine, it activates itself and all the cards above it, rewarding a player with satisfying combos. Cards belong to 6 different factions and offer various abilities. Players are free to mix different factions in their mines for better results. Imperial Miners offers an impressive replayability thanks to its wide range of different cards and progress tracks, which are added to the game during setup. Players advance the tracks throughout the game, acquiring immediate benefits to synergize with their cards and trigger even more satisfying combos. And these progress tracks change from game to game. Imperial Miners is for 1 to 5 players, ages 10 and up, plays around 20 to 60 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $29.99 when it lands in stores this October. So another Imperial Settlers game from Portal Games. I'll be the first to admit, I have never played any of the Imperial Settlers games. I know Elliot picked one up at Gen Con one year. I think it was Gen Con. I don't think it was Origins. But I did not play it with him. He waited until he got home to bust it out. So, oh, well, this looks kind of interesting. I like the concept of having different factions, and you can choose various different cards from different factions to kind of try to create combos in your mind. Could be quite interesting. Moving right along. Right now, you can score huge savings on the Traveler role-playing game in PDF, as Mongoose Publishing and Humble Bundle have teamed up. And I've got the deets on the deal. The universe awaits. Set out on a journey into the unknown in Traveler, the science fiction role-playing game of the far future. This Starfarers bundle features over a dozen digital rulebooks, source books, and character and campaign resources for the latest edition of the iconic tabletop role-playing game. Plunder the Galaxy in the Pirates of Dranex campaign and Dranexian Companion, expanding the setting with new possibilities for adventure. Gear up with weapons and equipment using the Central Supply Catalog and Field Catalog. Traveler is a science fiction role-playing game of bold explorers and brave adventurers. The Traveler Core Rulebook Update 2022 contains everything you need to create one of these adventures and begin exploring the galaxy. Spaceports, ancient civilizations, air rafts, cold steel blades, laser carbines, far distant worlds, and exotic alien beasts. This is the futuristic universe of Traveler, the original and classic science fiction role-playing game. Come visit the far future. Get everything you need to craft and play your own science fiction saga and help support Cancer Research UK with your purchase. You can jump aboard this deal for as little as $1 or donate $18 or more to receive all 16 PDFs in this offering. These savings do run through August 23rd. So I know people out there are always talking about just how pricey the PDFs and physical books for Traveler happen to be. Well, no excuse right now. You can jump in, you can grab the Pirates of Drinax is an excellent campaign, really, really cool. You get the core rulebook, you get the equipment catalogs. There's the entire, I think it's all 5 of the Reach adventures. So this has tons and tons of gaming material, $18 or more. So by all means, take a peek. Even if you already have, say, the Traveler core book, the adventures in that are being included in this offer might be worth checking out. So, because you figure just one of the PDFs, say like the Pirates of Drinax, probably is about the same cost or more as this entire bundle. So take a peek. Flaming Heron says that's how they grabbed most of their Traveler PDFs. Always pays to keep your eyes peeled over on Humble Bundle, because usually you can find big savings on like Starfinder, Pathfinder, some third-party 5e D&D. Of course, we've got the Traveler offer right now, and nobody beats the deals that a Humble Bundle offers. Next up in the news, following a successful Kickstarter for Monte Cook Games, the Old Gods of Appalachia role-playing game is now available in print and PDF. Here's what I know. Long before anything human roamed the earth, the Appalachian Mountains, or some people say Appalachian, I was always raised to say Appalachian, towered tall and menacing. Their might was made a prison and tomb for beings of immeasurable malice and incomprehensible madness. But time shows no mercy, not even to mountains. And now they lay bare and worn like an old man's spine. The walls of the prison grow thin, and those that have slumbered soundlessly for millennia begin to stir and call to those who would hear them. Based on the award-winning and amazingly popular fiction podcast, The Old Gods of Appalachia role-playing game is a complete, standalone tabletop role-playing game powered by the Cypher system. Old Gods of Appalachia's unique take on cosmic horror is personal, intimate, and atmospheric. Venture into the dark, eerie past of an alternate Appalachia and enjoy a fluid, story-based role-playing experience with an intuitive, concept-driven character generation system that gives you limitless options. With loads of lore, dozens of creatures and NPCs, and 2 complete adventures to launch your campaign, the Old Gods of Appalachia role-playing game has everything you need to experience your own stories of horror, hardship, and heart in this immersive narrative and deeply chilling setting. Ravenous creatures of the inner dark, sinister plots of the hollow men, unearthed beasts that have long dreamt in the dark, and angry forces of the green. Strive to protect what matters from those terrors and more, while you seek to know the unknowable and spin a collective tale of hardship, horror, hope, and heart, where every choice requires a sacrifice, and your word is, or should be, your bond. The Old Gods of Appalachia role-playing game includes complete rules for a fluid, story-based tabletop role-playing experience in the eerie world of the hit Old Gods of Appalachia horror podcast. There's an intuitive, concept-driven character generation system that gives you limitless options. It's a detailed dive into an alternate Appalachia of the 1920s and 30s, rich with atmosphere and lore. Dozens of dark, dangerous, and powerful creatures and characters to encounter and interact with, as well as 2 complete adventures to launch your campaign. The 400 plus page Old Gods of Appalachia role-playing game hardcover carries an MSRP of $69.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $22.99. Gotta say, that is an awfully good deal for the PDF. Because usually, 50% is usually what we kind of see. Sometimes more, but for the most part, we usually see it about 50%. That would make it $35. Now it's $22.99. And I got to say, I am very curious about this. So we talked a little bit last week, and I know some folks in chat were talking about how they listen to this podcast. And I think the Madman said that they listened to this. And I had pointed out, I tried to listen to it once and just didn't get into it. And I'll be honest, I think the reason behind that was because you could tell they had gone back. So they didn't remaster it, but they had changed their ads for it. So it was the first episode, first time I heard anything about this before. And every 5 minutes, they were asking for money. Support our Patreon, support the podcast. And I was kind of like, really? You haven't even let me kind of settle into this here. And you're already hitting me up for dough? Whereas I guess it would have been different if I had, listened to 20 episodes. So I think I'll give it another shot. I'll give it another try and take it from there. I definitely like the artwork that's throughout. Pretty spooky. Flaming Heron says they had the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Enemy Within books being sold on Humble Bundle, a bit better than DriveThruRPG on sale, but unfortunately not in a bundle. So the Madman says, yes, they have been listening to the Old Gods of Appalachia podcast for a while. Yeah, it's been on, 3-4 years, I think. I think they're entering a 4th season, which is really weird. Podcasters and, in some respects, tabletop gaming outlets have this weird thing about seasons. So you might actually have more than one season in a year. So, we're entering our 4th season, but we've only been doing this a year. So I think that kicks off the 4th season. I think kicks off in September. Madman says, so far the Old Gods book looks pretty good. Thought they could use the setting for their Savage Worlds Holler, which is also Appalachian horror. Yes. Gotta like that. It's gotta be 1920s and 30s when very few people had any sort of electricity there, running water, pretty creepy. I'd be interested in taking a peek. On to the final news piece. Need Games has released the first supplement for the award-winning Fabula Ultima role-playing game. Here's the skinny on Fabula Ultima Atlas High Fantasy. An epic journey will guide you beyond what you have ever imagined you could be. Destiny itself shall bow before the fires in your hearts. Fabula Ultima Atlas High Fantasy, say that 5 times fast, will guide you into a world of ancient mysteries, breathtaking views, incredible magic, and powerful beings. Like the heroes of legend and myth, your characters will start from humble origins and set off towards a glorious fate, eventually rising high enough to challenge the gods in true Japanese role-playing game style. Dive into this classic epic genre with 4 new classes: the Chanter, Commander, Dancer, and Symbolist, and even more heroic skills. There are 10 high fantasy locations, archetypical settings with tips and hints for playing an intense high fantasy campaign, or which you can use as inspiration, breathe, to breathe life into your world. Unleash your creativity and forge your ultimate weapons using the new rules for custom weapons. Discover quirks, new optional rules that bring even more characters and push their heroic abilities beyond their limits using zero powers. There's 5 villains, challenging new bosses of increasing power to use in your adventures, providing your players with tough and stimulating challenges. It includes 200 full-color pages featuring manga and chibi-style illustrations from international artists. Fabula Ultima is a game by Emmanuel Galetto, published by Need Games. Obviously enough, you need the core book to use the Atlas. And you can score this for $24.90. I'm going to take a guess it is a soft cover at that price. Or you can snag the book in PDF over at DriveThruRPG for $14.90. And yes, Fabula Ultima was the winner of, I want to say it was the RPG of the year at the ENnie Awards. If that means anything to you. Doesn't always mean something to everybody out there. And we kind of know how some of these awards work. So, but this is very, very popular role-playing game, I must admit. All right, that is it for the news tonight. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG, and of course, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit, say, DriveThruRPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, what have you, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop on over at paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a donation. You can buy me a 2-liter soda. Delicious. Thankfully, quite a few of you out there do utilize the banner ads and or visit paypal.me/thegaminggang. So big tip of the cap, everybody. Thank you very kindly for that. All righty then. So a few things I do want to tackle before we jump on into the first look at Cyberpunk RED, Danger Gal Dossier. I swear, at some point I'm going to say Danger Girl. I know it. Because that's a comic book. If I remember right, I think the artist on that, the creator on that was J. Scott Campbell. I think, if memory serves. So I'm doing my best to make sure I say Danger Gal Dossier. So that's coming up in just a few moments. But as I had mentioned, did have a contest over the weekend. So it was whichever company received the most views for my Gen Con interview with them, I was going to turn around and give away 3, count them 3 PDFs to 3, count them 3 lucky viewers. So we had Free League Publishing, Chaosium Inc., Paizo Inc., oh my God, I'm zoning out on who the other ones were. They were all role-playing game companies. I I can't believe I just zoned on that. It's like Chaosium, Free League, Cubicle 7, and Paizo Inc. There was one other. One other. Hold on. I'll tell you in a sec. Boy, I tell you. I know I should have jotted them down, but you know. God forbid I do that. Cobalt Press, for crying out loud. Jeez. So it wasn't which company had the most views for those interviews overall, because that is actually Free League Publishing. Free League Publishing's number one, Cubicle 7 is number 2 as far as number of viewers. It was viewers over the weekend. And the company that drew the most views to my Gen Con interview was Chaosium Inc. So congrats to Chaosium. And whoever wants to be in the running, please chime in chat, because I'm going to do the giveaway right now. So you have your option. You can choose a PDF of Rivers of London or the Pendragon starter set or the basic role-playing core book, which we're going to be taking a look at soon. I received a copy of it at Gen Con. It's got to be clocking in 350, 400 pages. It's a pretty big book. Pretty big book. So anybody who wants in on the contest, chime in, please. I'll give you a few moments. Scott B. Smith and Kathy Evans, as well as Testy Trekkie and Russell Higgins, are hanging with the gang tonight. Welcome aboard. So, all right. Anybody? Come on, you got to chime in chat if you want to be part of the contest. I'm reaching in to go grab a die. All right, Tessie Trekkie's in. Madman's in. Flaming Heron's in. So that's 3. I'm only going to give people another minute to chime in, because I've got other stuff to tackle. And then we are definitely... Oh, there you go. Scott B. Smith is in. So that's 4. Tick, 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 tick. Russell Higgins, that's 5. All right, last call. Last call. Get into the contest. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be watching. That's it. It's all that's going on. All right. Okay, so Kevin makes 6. All right, so I'm going to roll this 3 times. Number 5 would be Russell Higgins. So Russell Higgins, you need to email, and this goes for any of the winners. Email Jeff McAleer at thegaminggang.com and let me know which one you would like. Rivers of London, the starter set for Pendragon, or the basic role-playing. All right, next. Number 3, that would be Tessie Trekkie. All right, same thing. One more. We got one more. All right, got to roll it again. Watch, it's going to be just 3 and 5 now. No, 4. So that is Scott B. Smith, Russell Higgins, Tessie Trekkie, right? Isn't that it? 3, 4, 5. Kevin was 6. So there you go. The 3 of you, please do me a favor and fire that on over to me in email. Just let me know which one you would like, and I will get you that PDF. So congrats to everybody. All right, so got that. Second thing, a couple of people have asked. They said, I look like I've lost weight. Am I feeling okay? Yes, I am. I am trying to lose weight. So yes, that is actually part of the game plan. So thankfully, I have lost a bit of weight. At one point, not too long ago, I was getting close to like 230. And I'm like 6'1" ish. As I've gotten older, I'm sure I've shrunk. So I wouldn't be surprised if I'm closer to 6 feet. Yeah, I was getting close to 230. I am right now at about 210. I would love to get under 200, but I haven't been under 200 pounds since I was in my mid to late 30s. So I don't know if I'm going to see that, but yes, thank you for those of you out there who reached out through email. You seemed a little concerned. I'm fine. Everything's okay. Knock on wood. So fingers crossed, right? You know, you never know. But yes, it is part of the game plan to lose some weight. All right. Final thing I want to talk about. I mentioned this last week that I was highly, how would I put this? Disrespected by a tabletop game company at Gen Con. And I was going to give them some time to rectify the issue because of what they told me, which didn't happen. So I mentioned last week, this company, I'm not going to cover them anymore in the future. I'm done. I washed my hands of them. Completely finished. And that company is Renegade Game Studios. So let me explain it. And you can tell me if you think I'm overreacting to this. So anyway, so prior to Gen Con, back in June, get an email from Renegade Game Studios. And they're another one of these companies every 6 months. They got some completely different PR person, like clockwork. So of course it's somebody I have no idea who they are. So anyway, so I get this email June 16th, 17th, something like that, inviting me to their press event at Gen Con on, I want to say it was Friday night. And they were going to reveal a bunch of different stuff, you know, that's coming out. And they also said, if you want review copies, that let them know you actually you had to RSVP for this media event. And it said, let them know which ones you wanted, because then they'll have them ready for you. You can just take them from Gen Con after the media presentation. I think you know where this is going, right? So anyway, there were like over 20 different things. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be some jerk and be like, oh yeah, it can be this. I figured, let's pick stuff that I would think my audience would be interested in. My audience, to my knowledge, is not interested in My Little Pony, the role-playing game. Heard good things about it, but it's just, you know, not something that, you know, I figure my audience is really overly interested in. So I chose the new edition of Diplomacy, the new edition of Axis and Allies 1914, and I don't recall if it was the G.I. Joe role-playing game or if it was the new edition of Robo Rally. So I chose 3 things. Submitted it. Okay. All good. So getting closer to Gen Con, get another email saying, hey, don't forget, Friday, 7 o'clock at Gen Con, media presentation, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Couple days before, don't forget. It's like, okay, all right. Morning of the show, that Friday morning, another email. Hey, we look forward to seeing you tonight, blah, blah, blah. Tessie Trekkie says, yeah, they lost some weight too. 9.5 kilograms in 10 weeks. So 21 pounds in freedom units. All right. So anyway, so my brother and I go to the presentation, and they close the doors and everything, and their PR person goes up there. Once again, have no idea who they are. They're talking, and then one of the partners comes up and starts giving us the lowdown on these various things that are coming. And we're told there are certain things we couldn't discuss under embargo. That's fine. And I guarantee within a half hour of that ending, there are people who are out there posting what had been told to us, whatever. So we're sitting there, and it's all like, rah, rah, sis, boom, bye. And it's all, all this is gonna be fantastic. This is gonna be amazing. Like they're carrying on about Heroscape and how Renegade's gonna do Heroscape. That was an announcement a while back. And on and on about it. And I'm sitting there, and then, and of course, there's people in the audience who are like, ooh, ah, ooh. It's like, please. What are you, 10 years old? So anyway, I'm thinking, I'm probably the only guy sitting in this audience thinking, so why are you so excited about a Heroscape when Hasbro themselves on Hasbro Pulse tried to fund a new edition and didn't even come close to what they wanted as far as their goal? So they decided they weren't going to do it. Well, I guess Renegade said, well, okay, we'll do it. I got to be honest. I think I don't think it's going to be as big a hit as they're thinking it's going to be. Because I think with Heroscape, there's a lot of nostalgia, the rose-tinted glasses and nostalgia that's involved with it. So kind of like when I think back on like some Avalon Hill games, it's like, oh yeah, Gunslinger, yeah. And then it's like, oh, I got a copy of Gunslinger. Damn, this is a mess. And then they're talking about Axis and Allies and how it's a tactical miniatures game. And the different Axis and Allies releases they have planned. And continually talking about how it's a tactical miniatures game. And they're like talking up Axis and Allies as if it's Twilight Struggle. Like it's like, oh my gosh, this is the top 5 games in history sort of thing. And going on about, people who play Axis and Allies, they play all weekend long and blah, blah, blah. And it's all like just being pulled out of their ass is the reality of it. So we sit there for about 40 minutes of this. And then they're like, oh, so if you have any questions, you can talk to, they had a few different people there. And I asked one of them, I said, something changed here that I'm not aware of? Because Axis and Allies kept being referred to as a tactical miniatures game. It's a grand strategy game. I'm like, is something changing? And the guy's like, oh, no, it's he misspoke. And it's like, yeah, he misspoke like 10 times. And then they have the new edition of Diplomacy that came out. Remember, I had requested a review copy of it. And I asked if this new edition addressed some of the vagaries of the rules, because the original game and many editions that came out after it, there were some vagaries, some looseness to the rules that could lead to arguments with people playing. So I asked, hey, so has that been addressed? I don't know. Okay. So anyway, so early in the presentation, right before it started, the PR guy says, so after the presentation, those of you who have reserved review copies can line up and pick them up over on this side of the room. And he says, you know who you are. I'm thinking to myself, you know who you are. I didn't get any like confirmation email. I mean, I RSVP'd the day the email came out. I requested those 3 copies, those 3 games. So I turned to my brother and I'm like, yeah, watch. I said, I know how this company operates. You watch. There's not going to be anything here for me. So anyway, so we get in line and there's women in front of me. Oh, I should point out, there's a guy, and I didn't recognize a soul in this thing, which I don't really pay attention to other outlets out there anyway. So, I mean, but I thought for sure I'd recognize somebody. So anyway, this one guy, he was probably, I don't know, early 20s. No joke. He walked out with a stack of about 15 titles. He had games, he had role-playing game books. I mean, the guy could barely maneuver with all his stuff walking out the door. So anyway, there's a young woman in front of me. She gets up. She says, yeah, I'm so-and-so. And I requested a copy of Acquire because now Renegade Game Studios is got a new edition of Acquire. Really? Seems like the games from Avalon Hill that Renegade Game Studios is producing is stuff that Hasbro has absolutely no interest in whatsoever. Diplomacy? Yeah, love Diplomacy, but I don't think people are kicking down doors to get a new edition of Diplomacy, especially if they don't even know if some of the rules haven't been ironed out a little better. So anyways, the guy's like, oh, looking, he goes, no, I don't see you on here. And she said, well, I filled out the request when I RSVP'd. And the guy says, well, it must have been, you must have done that after the cutoff. And, we didn't get it in. It's like, oh, she's like, okay. So she walks away. So I nudge my brother, like, watch, here we go. So I said, yeah, I'm Jeff McAleer with Gaming Gang. Guy's looking. What was the name? I said, Jeff McAleer, the Gaming Gang. No, I don't have anything. He goes, you must not have gotten it in before the deadline. I said, oh, well, I guess the deadline must have been set the day before the original email went out. I said, because I made my request the day it came out back in June. And the guy gives me a look, and this guy was like in his 40s. He wasn't like a kid. he gives me a look like I'm some sort of asshole. And I'm like, you know what? It's no big deal. I just won't ever cover your company again. I said, come on, Greg, let's go. So, you know, and it's too bad because I had interviewed Sarah Erickson a couple of times. Real fun interviews, real nice woman. She's kind of left the operation of the company. She's kind of gotten away from it. Although, funny enough, I did see her at the Renegade Games Studios exhibit area Friday afternoon before the presentation. I went up to go say hello to her, and she was talking to somebody and never once glanced around. So it'd be like, I could have been a customer who wanted to buy something, but whatever. So, but she was super nice. She was really cool. But they have never been a company that was very forthcoming with review copies of stuff. So, whatever, that's fine. I don't expect everybody, you know, to every publisher out there to print up 100 review copies. That's insane. But they were almost as tough. Actually, to be honest, they were tougher to get a review copy of something from than Fantasy Flight Games was. That's saying something. So, so the thing is, if I had approached Renegade Game Studios and said, hey, I would like review copies of these 3 games and pick them up at your media event, and it didn't happen, I'd be like, yeah, okay. No big deal. But for them to reach out to me, to ask me to RSVP for this media event, and then tell me, hey, whatever review copies you would like, choose them so we can have them ready for you. And then, like I said, I only picked out 3. It wasn't like I went hog wild or something. And I think part of it is because I haven't just given like every game from Renegade Game Studios that I've reviewed like a big thumbs up. There have been some that I was like, no. Like what was it? Kaleidoscope role-playing game? Which, what did they do? They did, I think, 1 expansion for like a year later, and that was it. That was the end of that. Saw that coming. So, like I said, if I had approached them, then I'd be like, yeah, that's whatever. No big deal. Because I don't, like I said before, when I talked about Gen Con last week, I don't like run around with my hand out like, oh, gimme, gimme, gimme. So I really don't come back from conventions with tons of stuff. But for them to reach out to me to say, hey, we want to make sure that we get review copies in your hands, and then to remind me on a practical daily basis about their press event, go there, sit through 40 minutes of stuff that wasn't, for the most part, very exciting, and then to have this guy treat me like I'm some sort of an asshole? No. Just gonna put them right up there with Steve Jackson Games. So, Flaming Heron says, yeah, that's pretty disrespectful, even you just saying it now. Kevin R. Smith says, yeah, I think the attitude's worse than the screw up. Well, here's the other thing. The guy had said oh, no doubt they're being shipped out to you. If we didn't have them here for you, they're shipped out. He either said they've been shipped out or they're shipping out. Yeah, and the check's in the mail too, I know. So that's why I said, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. So Flaming Heron says, but at least Steve Jackson Games gets news stories. Not here. Not on the Gaming Gang. They don't. No, I haven't shared a Steve Jackson Games news piece in years. So, so there's some discussion about, yeah, I'm going to have to rethink buying stuff from Renegade. I'm just telling you that they've always been kind of a company that they want the promotion. They just don't necessarily want to be a two-way street sort of thing, you know? So it's like I informed him. So yeah, like I said, I mean, to make me feel like an idiot was not appreciated. All right, so that's that. So we're going to be diving on into Cyberpunk RED, Danger Gal Dossier in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
Visit our snack bar and treat yourself to some delicious Castleberry's pit-cooked barbecue sandwiches. Cook the Castleberry way, slowly over open pits of glowing charcoal, then seasoned with a sauce that's zesty, yet delightfully mild to please the entire family. Also at the snack bar, you'll find popcorn and soft drinks and candy and French fries to go with your Castleberry's barbecue sandwiches. There's plenty of time before the movie starts, so visit our snack bar right now for Castleberry's pit-cooked barbecue sandwiches.
Who is the ale man? Who can he be?
Famous sail manufacturer, company president, ale man. A man with a thirst for a manlier brew. Day is done, the race is won. Now hear this, all hands on deck for enjoyment. And that could only mean ale, Ballantine ale. Ballantine, the ale man's ale. Bolder, keener, more to the point. The choice of 3 out of 4 ale men among all national brands. Let Ballantine make an ale man out of you.
Who is the ale man? He could be you, a man with a thirst for a manlier brew. 3 out of 4 men every time choose the bolder, keener tasting ale. Ballantine.
Have some Wilkins coffee?
Well, I say, I'll take some.
Surprising how many people are switching to Wilkins coffee.
Crime has been committed. These detectives have been assigned to the case. Their job, round up the suspects. And that's what you try to do when you play Mattel's new lie detector game. The exciting new game of scientific crime detection. It could be any one of 24 suspects. Question each one. Is he telling the truth? The lie detector says no. Now check the racketeer.
Well, I think it was a guy with a big jaw.
Now you have one clue. Next, try the school teacher.
I saw him. I'm sure he had a mustache.
True again. Now you know the criminal had a big jaw and a mustache. By eliminating the other suspects, you're ready to make an arrest. And there he is, the playboy. With skill and the lie detector, you become chief of detectives. Mattel's lie detector game is real fun. Get it wherever toys are sold. Remember, you can tell it's Mattel. It's swell.
I swear I didn't do it. All of a sudden it's like, false. So I see Matthias mentioned, wait, wasn't V5, Vampire the Masquerade, 5th edition, published by Modifius? Originally it was. And then Paradox Entertainment, or Are they Paradox Interactive? I forget. Yanked it. So Vampire the Masquerade is now published by Renegade Game Studios. So you can take a look into that whole fiasco that took place. And Paradox was not happy. Certainly we're not. All righty then. So tonight we are going to dive on in and take a first look at Cyberpunk RED, Danger Gal Dossier from our Talsorian Games. This 176-page hardcover is available now for an MSRP of $40, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $20. So let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Danger Gal Dossier. So do want to mention that the fine folks over at our Talsorian Games were kind enough to provide me with Danger Gal Dossier, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's very important that you know that. I would have read the authors, but there are a ton of contributors to this book. So let's take a look at the back here. They're more than just cat ears and cute pink guns. In the dark future, data is power, and no one owns more data than Danger Girl. Knew I was going to say it. Knew I was going to say Danger Girl. Danger Gal. Night City's premier investigation and security neocorp. Run by Mikiko Sanderson, Nee Eriska. I wonder if this is a misprint, if that's supposed to be Arasaka, because it says, yes, that Arasaka, but that's not Arasaka. Danger Gal's archives contain information on everything and everyone worth knowing. And lucky you, Chumba. We've prepared a copy of those archives for download straight into your Cyberpunk RED game. Inside Danger Gal Dossier, you'll find information on mooks, lieutenants, mini-bosses, and bosses at both the standard and hardened varieties. You'll learn about the factions of Night City, from edge-running crews and nomad packs to booster gangers and elite trauma team squads. And when the plethora of NPCs we're giving you in Danger Gal Dossier isn't enough, you'll find the guidelines you need to bring your own Night City denizens to life. Then it talks about what's in the book, but we are going to check it out. Chen from Taiwan is with us. Good to see you, Chen. Thanks for joining us. All right, so as I mentioned, lots and lots of authors. And then we've got quite a few illustrators as well. So let's make sure we give them a little bit of credit. So we've got the various different factions, I think 15 in all. So do want to mention, we are not going to look at each and every page inside the book, but I do want to give you a really good feel for what's in the Danger Gal Dossier for Cyberpunk RED. A good GM knows there's no such thing as a generic character, especially in Cyberpunk RED. Night City is a living, breathing world brimming with people, each living their own life and telling their own story. That's what Danger Gal Dossier is, a collection of non-player characters belonging to different factions in Night City, each with their own histories and lives, all from the viewpoints of the analysts at Danger Gal, the Dark Future's premier private detective and security agency. So it's going to give us a breakdown on how to use this, discussing the factions, the characters as templates. Then we've got the NPC keyed here to tell us what each section is. Jack Hanks points out they are normally a forever dungeon master. This is one of the few games they've actually gotten to play several times. Knights. Unfortunately, I am the forever GM, and very, very rarely do I get an opportunity to actually play as a character in a role-playing game. So, Sixth Street. Sixth Street are veterans. Some folks call them guardians, protectors, and nightmares in chrome. but let's call them what they are, a gang. A deputized gang utilizing a loose military rank structure inherited from their time in the war, dispensing justice and protecting everyone who follows the law. And then we've got the different code names. So Arbiter's a mini boss. He's a lawman. Cold Fire, Hardened Lieutenant. There's Solo. Breacher is also a solo. Knock Knock. And Roof Diver. Cool. I get the feeling this book is just going to be jam-packed. Flairnock Anders is with us in chat. I believe this is a first-time visit. So welcome aboard. So Tessie Trekkie says 6th Street are American patriots. Yeah, maybe. More like, if I remember right, they're in Cyberpunk 2077. And they're more kind of like gun nuts. But at least here they seem to be veterans. We've got the Bozos. You know the story. The Bozos are Night City legends, clown-like in appearance and attitude, a seemingly unending legion of violent, body-sculpted pranksters causing chaos and mayhem, all led by the mythical Great Bozo. Only they've evolved in the past year. No longer a single troop of jesters, a civil war of clowns has led to the gang splitting up into different circuses. Despite the internal struggles, though, they continue to wreak havoc. So there are the Bozos. It's like got a few pages of them. Then we've got the Danger Gal Puma Squad. Everyone's heard of Puma Squad. There's an animated series, a data pool comic, fashion dolls sold out of vendits, and pre-made costumes for ages infant through adult. Made up of a group of attractive and capable operatives, Puma Squad serves as a team of intrepid crime solvers and a means by which Mikiko Sanderson fosters goodwill in Night City. Hence, the merchandising. Tessie Trekkie says, the Catgirl Special Forces. Tessie Trekkie also points out a civil war of jokers. Now we need a bat gang. So here we've got some of the Puma Squad. Then we have the Digital Divas. The Digital Divas are a brat punk band who exploded in popularity after an arsonist took their song, Burn It Down, little too literally, and proceeded to methodically torch locations near where the band played, granting them a spotlight in local media and tons of social commentary on the garden. I always dig the way Cyberpunk RED is presented. It is an entertaining read. Edge runners. We also serve who watch and spread vicious gossip. I mean, carefully vetted intelligence. No? Whether corner case, space case, cold case, missing case, or in this case, edge case, Justin Case is on the case and at your service. So the edge runners they're not necessarily hackers. Nice artwork throughout. Actually, looks like we've got quite a few pages devoted to the edge runners as well. Got the flasher, whoa, the hammer. Okay, then we got Generation Red, which those are the kids, right? The kids ain't all right, to borrow a phrase. Night City is more than its fair share of children whose families are absent, broken, uncaring, or just too busy to look after the Rugrats. Without the resources or training to be able to protect themselves, most of the time those kids wind up in deep shit, But every so often, a clever or lucky group forms an enduring yo gang and manages to carve out a temporary bastion of near stability for themselves. Generation Red is one of those lucky few. I'm just not sure how long their luck will last. So, yeah, I thought these are like tweeners. They're not teenagers. They're not little kids. Then we got Maelstrom, which are pretty bizarre. Tessie Trekkie says, angry Gen Red kids on bikes with bazookas and katanas. Maelstrom clawed their way through the Fourth Corporate War in Reconstruction, much as Night City did. Scarred, battered, but fiercely alive. And like the city, bright new chrome is replacing burned steel. Before the war, Maelstrom was a middle-grade booster gang. Today, they're growing in power and influence through a flourishing drug and cybernetic trade. Maelstrom also leads the other gangs in salvaging valuable gear from the hot zone using hordes of scavvers willing to get cancer for a shot at membership and some shiny metal. Maelstrom looks to have a long, bloody future ahead of it. So, should also mention tonight, you are probably noticing that the image, the video should be pretty sharp, pretty clear, because I actually bit the bullet and boosted our internet that we've got. So I used to only have 12 millibits per second upload. That was what I would average. Now we have 24. So I would hope everything looks pretty sharp. So I'm kind of surprised. Maelstrom usually has way more chrome than these guys. Huh. All right, so then we have the Night City Police Department, Precinct Number 1. The official Night City Police Department is overworked, understaffed, and corrupt as hell. That said, not every lawman is looking for extra EB, and sometimes they're the thin blue line you need when things go ballistic. Here's some of the city's finest with an eye toward who to tap and who to tag. Caliber Hellhound. Looks like we've got a few pages of the police as well. Network 54. They're, I think they're the news, right? Flaming Heron says, yeah, video looks pretty sharp. Cool. I'm hoping it does. All right, cuties, strap yourselves in for some juicy details on Net 54's most elite investigative journalism squad, run by none other than legendary media Fiona Hayes. This award-winning team is responsible for breaking some of the biggest stories of corruption in Night City history. Roger Perdome is with us. Good to see you. Says, better late than never. Gonna have to watch the first part on Memorex. Got the piranhas. Can you put a price on bliss? The piranhas have the cost and the drugs to give it to you. Whether you need a mile-high party with no budget or the slickest show possible for your gang for only a few Eurobucks, the piranhas got you. Once known as the grunge garage partiers, the piranhas have worked their way into becoming the one-stop shop for all things exclusive, shiny, and fucking lit. Quantum Face Dragon is hanging with us. Good to see ya. There's Bazooka Joe. Okay, then we've got Sightseers. Founded by Racer Rahavi and named by her first recruit, Endo, Sightseers are an Eldecaldo nomad pack specializing in the transport of small goods, as well as the escort of individuals and caravans alike. Of late, their job has been complicated by two members of their pack being taken in custody by the NCPD. There's Endo and Gaze. It's like we've got about 5 pages. Team Monster, which That's actually the logo for Monster Fight Club. I don't know if you noticed that. I do. Keep in mind, we're going to be doing a review of Cyberpunk RED Combat Zone very shortly. High risk yields high rewards, and Team Monster doesn't flinch at danger, sometimes to their detriment. You know how most people have that voice in their head when they're in trouble? The one screaming, "Hey, genius, get out of here before you get flatlined." These chums must have lost theirs in an upgrade. Motley crew ranging from stoic to thrill-seeking to unhinged, this enterprising team of edge runners always seems to get the job done with their limbs and chrome mostly intact. Paladin and Too Tall. Trauma teams. Cool. Cheers for the absolute soap opera of a trauma team squad boss. If there's a Christmas wedding 1 year, bring popcorn. Think 3 days till retirement for likely levels of drama. Honestly, the vids I've seen of this crew are entertainment well worth leaving the UK for. Right up there with the best dramas Auntie Beeb has on offer. I think the whole concept of the trauma teams is pretty cool. Tiger Claws, they are a street gang of Asians. The Tiger Claw served as a proxy gang for Arasaka in Night City before the time of the Red. But the nuclear explosion in the heart of the corporate district changed everything. When Arasaka retreated, they left the tattered remains of the Tiger Claw behind. Flaming Heron says trauma teams are more likely to cause trauma. I gotta say, I'm impressed by this book. I mean, especially if you're looking for NPCs and interesting factions. This is certainly something to take a peek at. Next, we've got Zoners. This group reminds me of Johnny Silverhand's first footsteps, speaking truth to power, but willing to back it up with a big stick. The South Night City Zoners are a movement in the process of forming. Most of this intelligence comes from months of neighborhood video and audio surveillance secretly recorded by the NCPD. I acquired it by hiring a trustworthy freelance netrunner. Please find the attached receipt for reimbursement of payments rendered. So this is an activist group. See, you get a whole lot further with a kind word and a gun than just with a kind word. Tessie Trekkie says, there's an awesome campaign of being a trauma team crew waiting to be played in there. Yeah, I would think that would probably make for a pretty good campaign in Cyberpunk RED. All right, so we've got some new gear. Toys for the Cyberpunk. When it came to gearing up the characters in Danger Gal Dossier, we set a rule for ourselves. Only use equipment from the Cyberpunk RED core rulebook or one of our free DLCs. You're free to swap a character's gear with something from one of our other books, such as Black Chrome, but we didn't want to require buying anything beyond the Cyberpunk RED core rulebook to make Danger Gal Dossier work. That's pretty cool. That actually is very cool. There aren't too many role-playing game companies that would do something like that. I know just recently somebody was commenting, I think it was on the interview I did with Wolfgang Bauer over at Cobalt Press, saying that they're kind of leery about Cobalt Press because other adventures and stuff require that you have other books, like the various Tome of Beasts and things like that. And I kind of could see where this person was coming from, but from my experience, I've also seen in these campaigns and adventures and that they also give you a breakdown of replacement creatures and that you can use if you don't happen to have any of the Cobalt Press books. So there is also that. So we've got creation guidelines for non-player characters. So various step-by-step process there. And then it looks like we've got an adventure. Looks like we've got a mission. The incident. Oh, looks like it's actually a few pages long too. And then we get some lists in the back. All the characters and tables. Sweet. Very nice. Like I said before when we started peeking into this, this is pretty packed with content. There's Combat Zone. We took a peek at that last week. And as I mentioned, I will have a review of that in the very near future. Should point out the Cyberpunk RED, what is it? Interface RED, Volume 1. Sammy reviewed it. That is up. In fact, we've got 4 reviews as of late over on thegaminggang.com. Sammy did 3 of them, and I did 1 of them, mine being Dungeons & Dragons Big B Presents Glory of the Giants. So we've got that. So Tessie Trekkie says, so they're making it only need the core book? Mike Pondsmith is the, see, this is why I hate this stupid little like heart thing. It blocks off. See if I can stretch this out. There we go. Mike Pondsmith is the real world cyberpunk. There we go. Flaming Aaron says, I must admit the 2 things I always want in games is interesting NPCs and enemies. I agree. I do my best to make NPCs memorable, unless it's, the shopkeeper. Sometimes I try to make them memorable too. Just don't spend a lot of time dealing with it. It's not like, okay, so let's role play your visit to the store for 20 minutes. No, I don't do that. All right. Once again, that is Cyberpunk RED, Danger Gal Dossier from our Talsorian Games. This 176-page hardcover is available now. Carries an MSRP of $40, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $20. And stay tuned. I will have a review of Danger Gal Dossier in the near future. Very nice. Very nice. So just to let you know what's cooking for the rest of the week. So tomorrow it's going to be a War Game Wednesday, kind of a War Game Wednesday. We're going to unbox and take a first look at The Last Kingdom from Gamelin Games. This was their big Gen Con release. And of course, it is based on the Netflix series. So that's going to be tomorrow. Then on Thursday, we're going to jump on in and take a peek inside Rookmork, which is a box set. I believe there's a hardcover in here. This is pretty hefty. This is from AAW Games, and I am very curious about this. I talked to Tilo over at AAW Games at Gen Con, did an interview. We talked about this quite a bit. So this is going to be on Thursday's show. Then a week from today, we're going to take a peek at Die RPG, which is from Rowan Rook and Descartes. I spoke with the creator of both the comic and the role-playing game, Kieran Gillen, at Gen Con, and got this review copy. We're going to be taking a peek at this a week from tonight. Then a week from tomorrow, it'll be another War Game Wednesday. We're going to take a look at Under the Southern Cross. This is a naval war game from GMT Games. I think this is the 4th volume. Yes, it is volume 4 of the Flying Colors lineup. So we will take a peek at that. And then a week from Thursday, we are going to dive on into Winds of Magic from Cubicle 7 Entertainment. This is a pretty thick book from Cubicle 7. And this is all magic for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Yes. So Jack Hank says the intros to the reviews have been awesome. Yeah, I had the same intros for like 10 years, 8 years, something like that. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to change things up. So now there's a different intro for my interviews at conventions and stuff like that. And Fleming Heron says, Winds of Magic, that is. What did I call it? Did I not call it Winds of Magic? You know me. I get carried away. This is why I was like, I'm going to say Danger Girl. I know it. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. I only said it once, but I knew I was going to say that. So yeah, so I swapped up the intros. My next review will be Dragonbane. Stay tuned. So that's it for this time out. If you like the video, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my aforementioned review of Dungeons & Dragons, Big B Presents Glory of the Giants, as well as my first look at Star Trek Adventures Captain's Log, the solo role-playing game from Modifius Entertainment. So by all means, take a peek at that. This looks really interesting. I am very intrigued. As I mentioned in the first look, it seems like it's a bit of a journaling game, maybe. So, sweet. All righty then. So, if you were watching live, thank you. If you were watching live and took part in chat, a bigger thank you. Because not only are you keeping me company, you're keeping each other company while I'm paging through stuff or unboxing things. But of course, I know a lot of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy life to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Of course, when you're not watching videos right here on the channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you won't find here on the YouTube channel, such as those 3 Sammy reviews. 3, count them 3. Won't find them here. They're written reviews. Check them out. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Remember, tomorrow I'll be taking a look at The Last Kingdom from Gamelin Games. And until I see you next time, here's hoping you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.